There have been many people that have wondered what path should they take after they finish some of my tutorial videos. One of them is this video here, the best start for new players in 2023. I have been asked so many times, what do I do after I do this guide? Well, today I'm going to give you a very basic path that you can follow. This is possibly one of the smoothest brain ways to play. It's super simple. It's completely self-reliant. I'm going to go over everything. It's going to make you over 1,000,000 silver per hour. It's a decent fame farm. It can be fun if you find corrupted dungeoneering fun. It's you're completely self-reliant. Everything that you will be using, you will be crafting and making yourself. So you're not relying on other players unless you just want to use their crafting benches. And you will also be living in Caerleon, which is a city surrounded by red zones, and there's a reason for this. Now this path is slightly risky, as in you will be doing full loot PvP, and you will also be doing red zone gathering, which can mean you can be ganked and killed and lose your stuff. But that's part of the fun, that's part of the thrill, and because you make all of your own stuff, you're living in Albion Online as cheaply as possible, but you're also profiting a huge amount. Let's get into it. So before we get into anything else, I just want to talk about the build you will be using. The build is a very simple curse staff with mage cowl, cleric robe, soldier boots, and you could use any offhand. I choose to use a torch. You could use a book if you want. It doesn't really matter, but torch is just way better. And for further details, you need to check out this video on my channel, which is called The Best Corrupted Dungeon Build in 2023. And it is the exact same build I just showed you. It shows you the why, what spells you'll be using, and how much the build costs. It's super cheap, by the way. And so let's talk about how you're going to get here. Here are the requirements for this guide, which will take you maybe 1 to 2 months total. But if you follow that fresh start guide that I made, you're going to be in very good shape. So here we go. You need to unlock Tier 6 Gathering for wood and metal. You need to unlock Tier 6 Refining for planks and ore. You're going to unlock Tier 4 Gathering for fiber and Tier 4 Refining for cloth. That's it. You're focusing on 3 resources. Alright, no leather, no stone, don't worry about those. You also need Tier 6 Reaver, which you're going to get on your first day, so I don't know why I typed it down. You're also going to need level 70 Warlock Mastery, and that's for the puddle spell, which is, let's see if I can pull it up here, which is, no, Cursed Beam, okay? You want Cursed Beam and you want Cursed Tar. Those 2 spells will absolutely make a huge difference on clear speed for Corrupted Dungeons. They're not necessary, you don't need them, but you will eventually unlock them pretty quick when you're doing Stalker Corrupted Dungeons. You also will want a personal island, which means you will need premium, and on that personal island, you want at least 2 farming plots. Alright, and I didn't write it down, but you're going to want at least 4. You want one herb plot and 1 crop plot. On the crop plot, you're going to grow cabbages, and on the herb plot, you're going to grow 6 burdock and then 3 comfrey. And that's to craft potions, and the cabbages are for soups. Alright, you're going to need Cloth Helmet Crafter, just level 1, Plate Boot Crafter level 1, Cloth Armor Crafter level 1. But you will need level 30 Cursed Staff Crafter. You also need, you need to unlock Cabbage, Crenellated Burdock, and Brightleaf Comfrey. You will also need to be a level 10 Chef, which you'll get naturally by creating, like, carrot soups as you level up. And you'll need level 1 Alchemist, which is super, like, you just get that pretty much right away when you start crafting the very basic tier 2 potions. So it's super easy to do, super easy to get. So here is your plan for your herb plot. You want to grow out of, because you have 9 squares per plot, 6 crenellated burdock, 3 comfrey, and then on your second farm plot, you're going to grow crops, and you're going to grow 9 cabbages. And if you have a bigger island, you're going to grow more cabbages, not more burdock or comfrey. You're only using 1 plot, and that's it. So on your island, you will also be using laborers, you're going to have a ratio of 3 imbuers to 1 blacksmith to 1 fletcher. So this means if you own 5 houses, it's going to have 9. You're going to have 9 imbuers and 3 blacksmiths and 3 fletchers. Hopefully that makes sense. And now for your daily routine. You're going to use your focus and water your crops. At first, this is going to be very demanding, but over time, you will be able to water all of the crops and have a lot of focus left over. Once that happens, you can start using focus on your crafting, whatever it is that you want to like max out first. It could be your cooking, which is what I recommend, is maxing out your chef stuff first. It could be potions. I don't really recommend potions for West. I don't know what it's like on East. I have not done the math. You'll have to do the math yourself. You could also just do it for your cursed staffs, because that's going to be another expensive craft. So you can save some money and resources if you, use your focus on that. But you're not going to get a bonus because you're not crafting a bridge watch. So it's up to you. But other than that, you're going to use those crops you're growing to occasionally craft minor poison potions and cabbage soups. You're going to be able to craft way more potions and soups than you will ever consume. So, just craft it when you need them to use them. Don't craft them to sell. It's probably in your best interest to simply sell the raw crops instead, but you'll have to do the math. Anyway, so besides that, you're also going to go gathering, and you're going to go gather right outside of Caerleon in Tier 6 zone, which means Tier 4 resources are available. And you're going to craft Tier 6 Curse Staff, Tier 4 Cleric Robe, Tier 4 Mage Cowl, and Tier 4 Soldier Boots, Tier 4 Torches. You're also going to be using laborers from your personal island, and if you have a guild island for this, you're going to have imbuers, blacksmiths, and fletchers at a 3-to-1 ratio, like I told you earlier. And from these laborers, you will receive refined materials back from them. That's how those work. And so you're going to keep all of the Tier 6 planks and metal bars. You're going to sell everything else. You're also going to keep all the Tier 4 cloth, planks, and metal bars and sell everything else. After this will just take a few minutes to tend to your crops and do your crafting. Afterwards, you're going to run Stalker Corrupted Dungeons, and you're going to keep all the Tier 4 runes you find. You'll get plenty of Tier 4 runes from this. This is what you'll use to enchant your crafted gear in 2.1. So you'll have a 4.1 Mage Cowl, a 4.1 Cleric Robe, and a 4.1 Soldier Boots, and a 4.1 Torch. Alright? Otherwise, if you don't have the runes because you've died too many times, or you have to do mass crafting, Tier 4 runes are cheap, just buy them. Alright, you're also going to keep all the Tier 6 Curse Staves you find, Cleric Robe, Soldier Boots, Torches, and Mage Cowls. You're going to sell everything else. So why Caerleon? Why am I having you live in Caerleon? It's simple. Not only is it the fastest and safest way to access Tier 6 resources, you get the cooking bonus, so you'll get more resources back, more of those cabbages. Alright, also raw resources, raw food sells for way more in Caerleon than any other town, and so most of your farm plots will be dedicated to cabbages. Alright, also you have the fastest and safest access to Stalker Corrupted Dungeons. Not only that, but Caerleon has a bonus crafting to gathering gear and tools, and because you will be gathering in a red zone, you will occasionally be killed by gankers or bad internet or all sorts of manner of other things. But you'll be battle-hardened from your corrupted dungeons, so you're actually going to be pretty good at PvP over time. But regardless, the access to resources is huge. You need wood, you go to Wire Forest or Long Timber Glen. You need cloth, you can go to Dead Vein Gully or Roast Corpse Steppe. You could also travel a bit up here into the swampy areas, though they're a little bit harder to reach. You'd have to go to Malag Crevasse and to Camland, and Camland's just dangerous. And you're just surrounded by every resource, and it's just 1 or 2 zones away. Alright? It's great. It's super easy, smooth brain way to play. So why Curse Staff? Why am I having you use the Curse Staff? Well, it is one of the cheapest builds that you can possibly use. It's also super easy to use, because most things that you're casting are The puddle is obviously a targeted, spell, but other than that, everything else is basically you just click on the enemy and then the game does it for you. It's super fast clear speed, 5 to 6 minute clear, times in these corrupted dungeons, which is huge for money making. You can damage enemies while you evade them. So because your cursed puddle is constantly dealing damage, your cursed explosion spell is going to deal tons of damage while you're running away from enemy attacks. It's super fast and smooth. You have to try it out. Once you get that cursed heart, it is so easy to just nuke everything. It is also very hard for an enemy player to invade you and kill you before you break the crystals. Because you have a root, you have damage over time, you have a very strong execute ability. You can very quickly and easily kill crystals while repelling the enemy away, while setting off traps with your ranged attacks, and rooting them in place in said traps, while also cursing them with damage over time. But also, if you choose to actually fight your opponent, if you just inspect them, you can tell if you can win or not very easily with this build. You have a free win against just about everyone if they don't have Guardian Helmet, and if they don't have an iframe, ability like parry strike on a sword, or the dodge roll on boots. And a lot of players, if they're new or inexperienced or panicked, they're not gonna run away and switch their skills. They're just gonna man fight you and die. It's actually a really easy and strong PvP build to use. So about the self-reliant thing, there is a few things you'll need to buy from the market unless you just want to take up another gathering profession and more crafting professions. And that is simply bags and mounts. That's it. If you're going to go gathering without a mount, you're silly, and without a bag, you're not going to carry very much. You're also going to want just a basic tier 4, tier 5 bag when you're doing corrupted dungeons, because you will start getting overweight after clearing your 4th or 5th one in a row. So this guide is good for players who maybe have 1 hour or less to play per day. Corrupted dungeons to me get very repetitive. I can barely do them for 1 hour at a time. So it's good for people who just want to hop on for just a little bit, see a tiny bit of action, and still make a pretty good, amount of silver and fame in that one day. These are players who just want to do risky content with good returns as a solo and guildless player. You won't be tormented like you would be in the Black Zones, and you won't be killed by 8.4 players in the Mists. You'll also be making more silver than both of them, as a solo guildless player. If you don't want to serve a guild, if you're guildless, which is what most of my videos are for solo players, this is great. These are also for players who want to avoid Discord or other social situations where some stupid clique of people might, talk down to you or think that they're more important because they've been on some server for a few years and you just joined. This is also for players who want to avoid faction fighting. Either they don't like the zerging or the huge player numbers. Because you're in Caerleon, if you faction flag and you don't have friends, Caerleon faction members can kill each other. So you're just making yourself more of a target by flagging up as Caerleon. So now you're probably wondering, if you follow this path, what will your daily, life look like? How much silver is this going to earn you? Is it even worth doing it all? So here's the answers, okay? So you're expected to make around 1.7 to 2 million fame per hour. That is not calculating fame credits, combat fame credits, or anything. That is just raw fame, all right? Which is not as good as farming open world mobs in tier 5 yellow zones. It is also not as good as static farming with a group set, but because you are leveling the curse staff, you will be able to transition into static farming in blue zones if you want to. Your expected silver per hour is 800,000 to 1.2 million. This is on West. On East, the black market is still kind of crummy, but also later in April, May, and June, they are promising a revamp to the black market, so this value might go up. It should not go down. Your expected gathering silver per hour if you went out and gathered, assuming you don't get killed, 600,000 to 1.4 million. This is dependent on if it's prime time or not. If it's prime time, there's a lot of gatherers in these red zones. You're not going to make nearly as much. Your expected crafting silver. So let's say you have a 5-plot island. If you just grow and sell the cabbages from 4 plots, that is 130,000 per day. Herbs are going to make you 31,000. The cabbage seeds that you receive will be 55,000 because you'll replant all the seeds, and because you're watering the plants, you're going to get some extra seeds, and that's how much you're expected to get per day. Herb seeds, same thing, 14k from that. So this means just doing crops on your island, which takes minutes every day, is 230,000 silver. This will, at maximum crop growing spec, only cost you 6,300 focus. So what this means is that once you've reached this point, you will be able to spend that focus on crafting, which, if you have 3,700 remaining focus on cabbage soup, if you are a max level chef, which eventually you will be over the long period of time, or if you credit card swipe, or if you really want it to, like, if you spend all your extra money on maxing out your chef, you can do it relatively quickly. So let's say you've maxed out your chef. Well, cabbage soup is only 111 focus to craft, and so if we round it down without using the Caerleon bonus, you're going to make 500k per day crafting cabbage soups. If you spend that same amount of focus on poison potions, the minor ones, the tier 4 ones, at maximum spec, you're expected to make 1.34 million. However, I did not do the math on the cost of the materials, whereas I did for the cabbage soups. So you can expect the cabbage soups to actually sell for way more. But I did factor in the cost of materials on that one, but not on the poison potions, because I'm tired and I'm lazy and this video's getting kind of long. But also because you shouldn't really craft poison potions for profit. The bench fees are too high, and yeah. But so I'm not factoring in the craft fees or the product costs, because most of the time selling the raw herbs is a better deal. And you have to do the math too. Selling the raw cabbage might be a better deal in Caerleon. So anyway, I'm not doing the math for cursed staff crafting, and you're not going to profit crafting the tier 4 items. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Other than what your laborers bring in, I am also not going to do the laborer math, because that's a whole nother can of worms, and I'm just really tired. Hopefully that's more than enough money and fame per day for a hyper-casual player that's only playing 1 hour a day. So if you follow this path, what other paths open up to you in Albion Online? Well, you can become a 4.1 or even a 5.1 mist PvPer. So there are lots of players that just wear 5.1 curse staff and they go into the mists and they just dumpster people because it is an absolutely broken and just ridiculously high damage weapon. It's very hard to fight and deal with. Also, because you're leveling up the Warlock tree, you will eventually dabble into the other curse stabs. And the Shadow Collar is the best weapon for fame farming because you can solo static dungeons with it. And so this opens up the best potential fame farming in the entire game for a solo guildless player. Obviously, the best fame farm in the game is killing and controlling the world bosses, but you're not in a guild, and you're also not the guild leader, so you're not getting the lion's share of that either. Also, because you can craft your entire set and you have the knowledge and know-how and just all the stuff you need in order to gather, refine, and craft your entire set, you have far less gear fear than everyone else out there because it's so easy to replace if lost. So how do you expand this further? Well, by learning how to buy order flipping for your crafting, you will be able to craft things at a higher profit with a lower cost. Mercenary laborers and gathering laborers if you're ballsy enough to not risk losing the journals when you're out in the red zones or in the corrupted dungeons. You can also become a dedicated chef for a shop stall. This is just a lazy way to make money and not have to worry about any numbers yourself. You just get paid a flat fee every month, and you just craft whatever food that the shop stall wants you to, and you just hand it over. They'll give you the materials, you just hit the craft button, and they have a stall, so you just craft at their stall for free. You can be a red zone ganker or a red zone police. You can also upgrade to Slayer Corrupted Dungeons, though I don't recommend this because most Slayer fighters and players are meta players, and Curse Staff is not meta. It is fast clear speed. It's great for ratting. It is not good to fight those really obscure builds that are specifically meant to beat you up in a corrupted dungeon. Also, you could just become a YouTuber or a streamer, since that's kind of like people get bored in this game, and that's what they do. That's what I did. Also, I would say more islands for more crops for more crafting, but due to the price of premium, that's not currently possible. Hey, it went under 18 million for once. Cool. Maybe it will be possible one day. Who knows? Well, that's all I've got for this video. I'm Swole Benji. Thanks for watching. As always, be a bro and stay swole. Make sure to click the video on the right side of your screen. Also, you can become a channel member by clicking the join button down below. You know how on Twitch you can subscribe to someone for like $5 a month? Well, here on YouTube you can become a channel member. It gets you access to private, more personal videos. And in those videos are advanced guides for Albion Online that will help make you more silver and more fame. They are too good for the public. If I release them to the public, everyone would do them. And while they would get a lot of views, it would also ruin the methods. So, yeah, that is for members only. Appreciate your support, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's or the next video. I don't know if I'm doing daily videos. See you.